In a land where mountains touched the sky and rivers sang sweet melodies, there was a hidden valley called Whispering Pines. The valley was home to all sorts of magical creatures, tiny fairies with shimmering wings, wise old owls that spoke in riddles, and even a family of unicorns that danced in the moonlight. But the most fascinating creature of all was a dragon named Sniffles. Sniffles wasn't like other dragons. He was much smaller, with scales that shimmered like emeralds and eyes as bright as the morning sun. But Sniffles had one problem: he couldn't stop sneezing. Every time he sneezed, a small puff of smoke or a spark of fire would escape his nose, startling the other creatures in Whispering Pines. No one knew why Sniffles sneezed so much. The fairies tried to sprinkle him with enchanted dust to cure him. The owls offered him wisdom in the form of ancient herbs, and even the unicorns tried to heal him with their magic horns. But nothing worked. Sniffles kept sneezing, and as time went on, he grew more and more worried that his sneezing would cause a big problem. One sunny morning, as Sniffles was strolling through the valley, he heard a rustling sound in the bushes. Curious, he peeked through the leaves and saw a small, fluffy bunny with a twitching nose. "Hello there," Sniffles said with a friendly smile. "Are you lost?" The bunny looked up at him with wide eyes. "No, I'm not lost. I'm gathering some herbs for my mother. She's not feeling well." Sniffles nodded sympathetically. "I hope she feels better soon. Do you need any help?" The bunny thought for a moment and then nodded. "Actually, yes. I need to find a rare herb called starflower. It's said to grow at the top of Mount Echo, but no one dares to go there because of the dragon that lives there." Sniffles tilted his head in surprise. "A dragon? But I'm the only dragon in Whispering Pines." The bunny's eyes widened in fear. "You mean you're the dragon of Mount Echo?" Sniffles chuckled, shaking his head. No, I'm Sniffles, and I don't live on the mountain. But I can help you find the starflower. Let's go together." The bunny hesitated for a moment, then smiled. "Thank you, Sniffles. My name is Thistle, by the way." And so, Sniffles and Thistle set off on their journey to Mount Echo. As they walked, they chatted about their lives and the beautiful valley they called home. Thistle told Sniffles about his large family and how they all looked after each other. Sniffles, in turn, shared stories of his sneezing mishaps and how he wished he could find a cure. After a while, they reached the base of Mount Echo. The mountain was tall and imposing, with steep cliffs and thick forests that seemed to stretch endlessly upward. But Sniffles was determined to help Thistle, so he took a deep breath and started climbing. The higher they climbed, the colder it became. Sniffles shivered as the wind howled around them, and Thistle huddled close to him for warmth. The journey was difficult, but they pressed on, knowing that they had to find the starflower. Finally, after what felt like hours of climbing, they reached a plateau near the top of the mountain. There, bathed in the soft glow of the moonlight, was a single starflower. Its petals shimmered with a light that seemed to come from the stars themselves. "We found it," Thistle exclaimed, hopping with excitement. Sniffles smiled, but just as he was about to reach out and pick the flower, he felt a tickle in his nose. "Oh no! Achoo!" Sniffles sneezed, and a burst of fire shot out of his nose, narrowly missing the starflower. The flower trembled but remained unharmed. Thistle looked at Sniffles with wide eyes. "That was close." Sniffles sniffled, feeling embarrassed. "I'm sorry, Thistle. I didn't mean to." Before he could finish, a deep, rumbling voice echoed around them. "Who dares disturb my mountain?" Sniffles and Thistle froze in place as a large shadow loomed over them. From the darkness emerged a massive dragon, much larger than Sniffles, with scales as dark as midnight and eyes that glowed like embers. "Who are you?" the dragon growled, smoke curling from his nostrils. Sniffles gulped, trying to muster the courage to speak. "My name is Sniffles, and this is my friend Thistle. We came to find the star flower to help Thistle's mother." The large dragon narrowed his eyes, studying them closely. "You are a dragon, yet you're small and weak. Why should I allow you to take the star flower?" Sniffles felt a pang of fear, but he stood tall and faced the dragon. "I may be small, but I have a big heart. I only want to help my friend. Please, let us take the flower." The large dragon huffed, sending a cloud of smoke billowing into the air. "And what will you do in return?" Sniffles thought for a moment, then spoke with determination. "I will offer you my friendship. I may not be strong, but I can be loyal and true." The large dragon stared at Sniffles for a long moment, then let out a low rumble that sounded almost like a chuckle. "You have courage, little one. Very well, you may take the star flower. But remember, friendship is a powerful bond. Do not take it lightly." Sniffles nodded, grateful for the dragon's understanding. He carefully picked the star flower and handed it to Thistle, who smiled up at him with tears of joy in his eyes. "Thank you, Sniffles. You saved my mother." As they made their way back down the mountain, Sniffles couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. He had faced his fears and made a new friend in the process. And though he still sneezed from time to time, he knew that his sneezes didn't define him. What mattered most was the kindness in his heart and the strength of his friendships. When they returned to Whispering Pines, Thistle rushed home to give the star flower to his mother. Sniffles, meanwhile, went back to his cozy cave, where he curled up and reflected on the day's events. He had learned an important lesson, that even the smallest creatures can have the biggest impact, and that true strength comes from within. As the days passed, Sniffles continued to live in Whispering Pines, but something had changed. The other creatures no longer feared his sneezes. In fact, they saw them as a part of what made Sniffles special. The fairies would often visit him, bringing gifts of enchanted dust to keep his sneezes under control. The owls shared their wisdom with him, teaching him how to calm his mind and body. And the unicorns, who had once been wary of him, now invited him to dance under the moonlight with them. But Sniffles' favorite visitor was Thistle. The little bunny would come by often, bringing fresh herbs and stories from his family. They would sit together by the river, talking and laughing as the sun set over the valley. And every time Sniffles sneezed, Thistle would giggle and say, "Bless you, Sniffles." One day, as Sniffles and Thistle were enjoying a particularly beautiful sunset, a group of young animals approached them. There were rabbits, squirrels, and even a few young deer, all looking up at Sniffles with wide, curious eyes. "Is it true?" one of the young rabbits asked. "Are you the dragon who sneezes?" Sniffles smiled and nodded. "Yes, that's me." The young animals exchanged excited looks. "Can you show us?" a squirrel asked, his tail twitching with anticipation. Sniffles chuckled, feeling a little shy. "Well, I don't sneeze on command, but if you stick around, you might see one." The young animals gathered around, eager to see the famous sneezing dragon in action. As they waited, Sniffles and Thistle told them stories of their adventures on Mount Echo, describing the brave encounter with the large dragon and the discovery of the star flower. As Sniffles recounted the tale, he felt that familiar tickle in his nose. Ah, achoo! He sneezed. and a small puff of smoke curled into the air. The young animals gasped in delight, clapping their paws and hooves. "That was amazing," one of the deer exclaimed. "You're so cool, Sniffles." Sniffles blushed, feeling a warmth in his heart that had nothing to do with fire. "Thank you," he said, his voice soft but full of happiness. As the young animals scampered off to tell their friends about the sneezing dragon, Sniffles looked at Thistle with a smile. "I think I'm starting to like my sneezes," Thistle grinned. "They are what make you unique, Sniffles. And being unique is something to be proud of." Sniffles nodded, realizing that his sneezes were just a part of who he was, and that they didn't make him any less of a dragon. In fact, they made him special. As the seasons changed and the leaves turned golden, the end of the story.